Today in the wood yard, we're gonna move some logs. Here we go. Today is a spectacular, beautiful day to be out in the wood yard. It's about 65 degrees, sunny, light southerly breeze. Best day so far this year. And we're gonna have a lot of those coming up. It's supposed to be in the mid to upper 70s coming this whole next week. And we've got wood coming. We've got 3, possibly 4 loads of wood coming. It's going to be 90% oak with a little bit of hickory and a little bit of beech, the guy told me. The new company I'm dealing with is a smaller company and they do smaller jobs, and I told them what I want and they said, hey, we can do that, and they're closer and they've got oak. Now the reason I'm buying from them is everybody is out of oak right now. Apparently the paper mills really want a lot of oak, and so everything's going to the mills right now. So there's not a lot of oak available. And I called 4 different loggers. My usual guy, John, he said, hey, you better call around if you got to have some right away. He says, we just don't have any. And I called a couple other places and they said, hey, it's not going to be for another month or 2 before we get wood in that you're going to want. And then this place got a hold of me and said, hey, we got a job right now. So they're doing it. And I got 1 load from them. It's the load that's right over here. This is mostly oak. There's red oak in here, and I did pick out a bunch of maple that was in there. There's a little bit of hickory in there too. And this next load that they're going to be bringing me, or loads I should say, they told me it was 90% oak with a little bit of beech and hickory, so that'll be kind of nice. And the reason I'm going to be moving wood today is right here is where I want the new wood to go. So this wood I moved here from my old wood yard. This is a mix of hickory and cherry and oak that's in here. Cutting this with the processor is kind of a pain because it's, when you cut real small stuff, it doesn't always go through the wedge right. It doesn't always get split. It kind of shoots out either side. You generally want stuff to be about 8 inches and up is what you really want for the processor, and straight obviously. So I'm not sure what I'm going to do with this yet. I'm still trying to decide. Maybe I'll hand cut it. This would be nice stuff to cut with the chainsaw because it's not real big. It would be pretty quick. I could cut this whole pile. Matter of fact, I think that's what I'm going to do. I think I'm going to cut the whole pile. That's what I'll do. So what I'm going to do, I was originally thinking I was going to move this stuff just to get it out of here over there, and then I would run it with the processor, and I was going to separate it by species. I was going to take the cherry and the hickory and the oak out and separate it. But if I just take all of this and move it right over here into the open spot that I made when I got rid of all the debris the other day, is I will be able to just hand cut all that and separate it as I split it. I can have 2 trailers and I can just throw it to either trailer as I split it and then dump it into bins. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to hand cut it. Yeah, that's what we'll do. And then maybe tomorrow or the next day, I can process that wood right there and get that done. So then they can put a whole load over here, maybe even 2 loads. And then over here, look at that. I've got a cat driving the tractor. Then over here, where this wood is, I'm going to get rid of this. I'm going to put 2 loads right through here. I can get 2 loads in here real easy, maybe even 3 loads, because we can go double wide with them, because they can stack over the top with a load and then do another load closer. Then we can put another load here, because the semi will drive straight in from right over here, come right into here, drive right to the end of the concrete here, and then they can load off to this side. So I'll get that stuff moved all the way too. So basically I'm going to move a bunch of wood right now. That's what's going to happen. So all the logs that were there are now over there. I wanted to get this cleaned up, like I said, so we can put loads in here. I still got to move some of this stuff around right here. And I took some from this end. You probably noticed I was grabbing stuff from the pile and just throwing it down on that end and up on top. I want to open this up a little bit more here so we can get through here easier. Maybe even put some more logs right in here too. So maybe a partial load can go right in here. And it wasn't too fancy down this end. I basically just kind of threw them down off the end over this way, so they're kind of out of the way a little farther, which is not great, but it's out of the way. So I got them moved over. And all the stuff that is over here that we moved was, like I said, older stuff that I wanted to get cut up, a lot of small stuff. Now I did pick out a few bigger chunks that I put over into that pile so that can be run with the processor, but most of this is all small stuff here. I mean, real small. There's like tiny small, and then stuff that's like 4, 6, maybe 8 inches. There's a few little bigger ones, but most of this is small stuff, and it's a variety. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna hand cut this probably tomorrow, and as I split it, I can separate it. I can separate the separate the hickory, the cherry, and the oak out of it so that it can go different places. Now these here that I left in the grapple, I grabbed these two specifically just to show you what snakes look like. This one here is real nice and crooked. This one's a nice big arch. And the reason I pulled these out, it's not that they can't go through the processor, it's just better if they don't, because what happens is when you run it in the processor, as it's going down the trough, when it lands where the clamp is and it clamps down on it, if there's a bow one way or the other or a curve like this, it'll clamp down and the piece might tip up or it might tip down. And then when you go to cut it, it might cut it at an angle. And the reason that's bad is when you go to put it through the ram, you can't really dictate where it's gonna go like you can with a manual log splitter where you can position your pieces. This just drops into a trough and then the ram pushes it through. So if it goes a little bit sideways one way or the other on the knives on the wedge, it's gonna go crooked. And then all of a sudden you got pieces going through vertically or sideways and not straight like you want it to. They'll stand up and do weird things. So processors like straight wood. I found that out. You do not want things that are crooked. There's gonna be some more in here, like this one I'm looking at right over here now. I'll show you. This one right here, I should probably pull out of here too. This one right here has got a nice bow to it. It might go through fine. It just depends on how it lays in the trough. This one's a little crooked also, but if you look at it from this side, you can see it's got a kind of a curve to it. There's a few more in here, like this one right here has got a curve, but it might not be too bad. But the ones that are real S-shaped or really are bowed with a big arch in them, they're not good in the processor. It just does weird things. They just don't want to sit straight in the trough and causes lots of problems. So I got all that stuff moved and cleared out. So now I'm gonna move the elevator probably way back over here somewhere out of the way. I might even move it way up against the building so that when the logger, the truck driver comes tomorrow or the next day, he can fill this whole area in over here with the log loads. So like I said, I'm thinking what's going to work best is if I put a double row off of the concrete, because they can stack a row here and go back quite a ways and another row and then another row, or I can have them do rows running this direction. I can have one back there and then one up here and then even put another one here, so we could do 3 rows running this way, and that would be ideal, because then what I can do is I can grab it with the grapple from this end and I can back straight up and then load it on. I don't have to turn in circles. Basically, you don't, what I found anyway, is when you're loading logs into the live deck on the processor, you want to be able to just grab the wood, back up, pull ahead, drop it. When you gotta grab it, back up, turn, drive to it, and then turn back into it, it's just a lot less, a lot more time if you do it that way. So fewer turns, the better, is what I have found. And if you can drive into the pile, grab it, back up, and then drive ahead, almost like a Y turn, and then go and put it onto the rack, way faster, way easier. So it works really good. So how I stage the wood is going to matter. I'm kind of trying to think that through here in the new wood yard as far as how it's laid out that's going to be best for us. The other thing that I want to consider is if I put logs over here, I want to process them right away, obviously. The next thing I want to do is we want to be able to drive trucks from over there, trucks with loads of logs through here, and we want to go right off this edge, drive out this way, and kind of make a circle going around. So we want to have this section really from about there to about here open eventually, if there's no logs here, just on that side. So they can drive directly through here and make a big circle and just pull right out. So they can drive through, unload off either side, that side or this side, all the way through here, and then just keep going. That would be ideal for them, probably, and for me. But we want to kind of order the wood as I need it so that it's not just sitting here for, you know, a year. I want to order it, process it, get it gone, get it out into the bins, get it stacked, piled, whatever I'm going to do with it, and then get another load, then another load, and just keep on it. That's how ideally I would like to do it. So doesn't mean it's going to happen that way. I'm going to try my best. So that's all I got time for today, folks. Right now you're going to poke buttons. Tomorrow you're going to be back 5:30 a.m. with a new video, because that's when I'm going to have a new one for you. And between now and then, you got nothing better to do? Go to my channel, watch one of the videos. There's over 1,000 of them. They're all good. Good night, Irene.